Most analysis I see online about Shin Godzilla is just wrong. Maybe not explicitly wrong, but it is maybe a little misguided or unfocused. Because most of the analysis I see is on Godzilla himself in this film being a sort of being that's a mistake, that is constantly in pain and is struggling to survive and figure out what to do, while it's also mutating and evolving into something more powerful and more intelligent. Now, don't get me wrong, that is incredibly interesting. This is the most interesting and unique iteration of Godzilla that there is. But that's kind of like the B theme of the movie. That is not actually what this movie is about, and I feel like every analysis that I see solely stops at Godzilla himself and doesn't follow anything in the rest of the plot. Because the A theme is pretty clearly about the Japanese government's lack of response time, that they're bogged down by red tape and bureaucracy, that they can't respond to emergencies. That the first time they did anything to interact with Godzilla, he was already in his fourth form. He was already unstoppable at this point. And the movie uses this dark comedy to really portray this, where they're in conference room meetings while Godzilla is destroying the city and they're trying to figure out what to do, and they start scheduling a meeting in 5 minutes where they all get up and walk to a different conference room to have a different conference there and a different meeting here. And then in other scenes they're playing telephone where one person has to tell another person, tell the prime minister, and it's honestly like darkly comedic how goofy and over the top it is, but it's actually not as over the top as it might seem. But the critique of the red tape and of the Japanese government is the main core of Shin Godzilla. That is what this movie is about, much more than Godzilla himself. I think it's great to analyze the existence and the being of Shin Godzilla, but I think it's really important to acknowledge that the main theme of the movie is the red tape and bureaucracy, because focusing on Godzilla only in this film, one, undermines the gravity of the film, and I think it creates too much of a spectacle out of Godzilla rather than focusing on the themes and the emotions that it's trying to portray.